Bonjour. Today we're going to look at the present of the subjunctive. This is a new mode. Please take some notes. You may have to pause this video a few times in order to take notes of triggers and things like that. And as usual, please do not hesitate to ask your teacher for any questions at the end of this. Okay, so let's start with the first slide. Okay, so let's observe these sentences, it's 9 sentences, and see what we use the subjunctive for. So I've got a few statements on the side. What do the underlined phrases express? What do you think they express? Do they express a desire, preference, will, and wish? Do they express an emotion? Do they express doubt and uncertainty? And are they used after impersonal construction, expressing necessity, possibility, denial, and preference? So I would like you to take a few seconds to look at these statements and say, you know, which of these 4 possibilities you think it is. Take a few moments. So if you want to pause, you can pause if you want a little bit more longer, but I will move forward. So let's have a look at the first sentence. Je veux que tu viennes à mon anniversaire. Je veux que expresses a will. Okay, I want that you come to my birthday. Okay, there's no, it's really you're expressing a will in a decision that you have made. Then we have il faut que tu fasses tes devoirs. It can be an obligation, but it's also what we call an impersonal construction. Il faut que. Il is nobody in particular. It is an impersonal expression that expresses necessity. Okay. Nous désirons que vous passiez quelques jours chez nous. We wish for you to spend a few days at our house. Nous désirons que is a desire, of course. So you've got that trigger here. J'ai peur qu'il refuse mon invitation. J'ai peur que expresses an emotion, even though it's not a real fear, okay? I'm scared that he's going to refuse my invitation. J'ai peur que is an emotion. Il est triste qu'on ne puisse pas venir à son anniversaire. He is sad that we cannot come to his birthday. Il est triste expresses an emotion. Je ne pense pas. In French, it's really important to understand that when someone says je pense que, there's very little doubt. But when we put that sentence in the negative form, we express a doubt. Je ne pense pas que is not final. Okay. So when we say je ne pense pas que, we express a doubt or some uncertainty. We're not sure. Okay. Je doute que express doubts. That's quite obvious. Elle a envie que, she feels like, or she wants us to. Okay. So that's a desire. And finally, il est essentiel que is another impersonal construction. Okay, so let's observe a little bit closer. Look at these triggers. That's what I would call triggers in color. What do they all have in common? Well, what they all have in common, I hope you've noticed it, is that they are usually followed by the conjunction que. Okay. So the subjunctive expresses a wish, a desire, an order, a doubt, regret, a piece of advice, a supposition, and the verbs are often introduced by que. So the subjunctive is not in the trigger, which is in the colorful sentence starter, but in the second half of the sentence. Okay, so often you will have a subjunctive after que, but it's not compulsory. Okay, so be careful. So let's have a look at the conjugaison. Well, actually, the subjunctive is not that difficult, okay? Because we're very lucky if you have a regular verb like jouer, finir, and attendre. The verb endings are all the same in the present. All verbs except être and avoir take I for je, is for tu, I for il, elle, or on, IONS for nous, IEZ for vous, and ENT for they. As you can see, it's the same as the present tense of the ER verbs, ES, and then ENT for they, so in the singular and the they form. And then it's the same as the imperfect for nous and vous. Okay, so maybe some ways of trying to memorize this. As you can see, avoir and être are very different. Be careful with the pronunciation here. I'm just going to read avoir first. Que j'ai, que tu aies, qu'il ait, que nous ayons, que vous ayez, qu'ils aient. So as you can see, the singular forms and the they form are pronounced exactly the same, but not spelled at all the same. And then être is que je sois, que tu sois, qu'on soit, que nous soyons, que vous soyez, qu'il soit. And again, pronunciation-wise, singular and the they form are exactly the same. See? So be careful with that. One thing that we need to make sure of is that if you have an IR verb, the second group, you must not forget to use the double S, okay? So it's not que je finis, but que je finisse, que tu finisses, qu'il finisse, que nous finissions, que vous finissiez, qu'il finisse, okay? So don't forget that. But apart from that, the stem is going to be irregular in a lot of them, but a lot of for the endings, they're never irregular, okay? So that's the good news. Okay, now there are a lot of irregular verbs in French, as you know, and there are some what I call very important irregular verbs that you should try to know. Now, I'm not expecting you to learn them right now, but you could maybe choose the ones that you think, you know, which ones are the ones that you might want to use quite regularly. Faire and aller, definitely. Dire is something we use a lot as well. Savoir is a super one as well. So maybe you could choose to learn one or two every week or one or two every month and try to use them in your writing and your speaking. I'm going to move on, but it's up to you to pause now and take a few notes of maybe a couple of verbs to start with that you would like to use in your writing or your speaking. Make the effort to do that, okay? Practice, try to be adventurous and use some new structures in your writing and your speaking. Okay, so if you want to pause now, but I'm going to continue. Okay. So, falloir, I forgot about that. Falloir is only used in the third person singular. Falloir is the infinitive of il faut, remember? And il faut, we only use it with il, never with any other person. So, an example, oui, il se peut qu'il faille aller au cinéma à 22 heures. Okay? So, that's a very irregular one. All right. Now, in the subjunctive, we've got what we call triggers. That's the trigger that's going to provoke the subjunctive in the second half of the sentence. Once again, just like in the previous slide, I strongly advise you to pick and mix. Look at the ones that you might want to use. The ones that are the usual suspect to start with, like il faut que, il est important que, il est possible que, okay? Start with the ones that you could use quite easily. Bien que is a very good one as well to start with, although, ou pour que, or afin que. That will give you maybe a good start on using some of these triggers. Again, try to come back to this video and pick and mix new ones every month so that you can widen your range of structures regularly. Okay, but that's up to you to do that, all right? So if you want to copy maybe a couple of them in your book now, you can do that. Pause and do that. I'm going to continue. All right, so let's have a look at some exercise here. You know the drill. There are some blanks. I've given you some verbs. Conjugate them in the correct form, pause and make sure that you do that correctly in your book, and then in the next slide you will have the correction. So pause now. Here are the responses, the answers, the corrections. Okay, number one, pour mieux comprendre l'art urbain, il faudrait qu'on visite la ville de Lyon. Okay, visiter, it just takes an E at the end, nothing irregular there. Numéro 2, il faut absolument qu'on interdise les graffitis dans notre quartier. C'est du vandalisme. Il faut qu'on interdise is the subjunctive form here. Il faut is an obligation. It's impersonal form. Numéro 3, je souhaite, I wish, que le ministre de la Culture fasse, okay, very irregular but super useful, faire a verb, plus d'efforts pour développer l'art urbain, afin qu'on, okay, in order that, puisse, that's pouvoir, another very irregular verb, but super useful, encourager le développement touristique de certains quartiers. Numéro 4, il faut faire quelque chose avant qu'il ne soit trop tard. We must do something before it is too late. D'accord? Avant qu'il ne soit trop tard, it's something we use a lot in French. Numéro 5, bien que beaucoup de personnes agissent pour la cause, bien que is a great trigger, okay? Contradiction. J'ai peur qu'on ne s'en sorte pas. I'm afraid we won't manage to get out of this situation. Numéro 6, même en admettant que les gens fassent des efforts, okay, fasse, faire, again, est-ce qu'il n'est déjà pas trop tard? 7, que vous le vouliez ou pas, whether you like it or not. We often start with our sentence starter, okay, whether you like it or not, que vous le vouliez ou pas. Il va falloir agir pour inverser le destin tragique de notre planète. Numéro 8, quoi que tu dises, il est nécessaire que tu travailles. Another great sentence starter that the French use a lot. Whatever you say, it is necessary that you work. It is important that you work, okay? Whatever, okay? Quoique. And To finish, we have these resources. I strongly advise you to visit zut.org, which has lots of really good exercises. There's this Quizlet Miss Corinck created that you could use to revise with subjunctive flashcards. And as well, now that we have Language Gym, strongly advise you to go on that one. I hope that you found this useful. Please do not hesitate to ask questions if you have any. Merci, au revoir.